This is Tinkz for TGN TV with my first look and first impression of Battlestar Galactica Online. This was very exciting for me to have this game come out, as I've been a huge fan of this series, Battlestar Galactica, ever since the original came out in the 80s. I couldn't wait to get in a Viper and be a colonial warrior. My first disappointment was the fact that they chose to use the modern Starbuck, the female version, versus the male version. To me, Starbuck will always be a cigar-smoking man, best friend to Boomer and Apollo. The tutorial is very straightforward. Things flash at you that you need to click on. Starbuck pops on the screen multiple times to tell you what you're going to be doing, where you should be going next. You gain experience points as you complete each portion of the training. Now, for me, some of the controls seemed a little bit too sensitive, probably just my inability to fly. My coworkers do tell me I have to stay in a tank on the ground, that I'm not allowed to fly. Perfect example, I'm backwards to the target. Part of my controls seemed like they were very sluggish. It would take multiple clicks to get something to arm or to fire. Again, possibly my system I used, it was a very stock quad-core system, 1 gig of RAM, onboard graphics card, and standard SATA to capture with. So possibly the sluggishness was in my system. Possibly it was just me not knowing what I was doing. Now, as you progress through the tutorial, you'll find that everything takes a long time. It just takes what seems like forever to get to the next objective in the training. I've edited out a lot of the flying time because it would just be too boring to sit here and watch it, and I feel that could be a problem for some people who just want to get into the game and get into the action. During the training, you'll come out to investigate something, and it'll put you kind of into a mock battle. I didn't seem to be taking much damage once we progressed to that point. Again, I was having problems getting it to target. It would say click on it, didn't really target. It did a nice job of prompting you what you were supposed to be doing next, so that if you got distracted looking at something off to the side, you had this nice flashing on the bar saying that you're supposed to be accelerating. In this controls, they said that you could click on the top of the bar and that little arrow on the top and you could accelerate. I never could get that to work. I had to drag the bar up to accelerate. Here's a perfect example of it. I go up, try to click on it. It goes up very slightly, but it really never would go up again after that. I had to drag it up. Another example of why I'm not allowed to fly, backwards to the target. And you'll notice that this seems to pixelate a little around the edges. Besides the fact that I was capturing with a very minimal system without a graphics card with onboard card. This has also been rendered a couple times, so the visual effects are better than what you see here. And again, now we're getting called back to the Galactica. We're supposed to be done with this phase of our training. And I'm backwards. I'm headed the wrong way. Always lost in a game. That's pretty much me. I would be catching a lot of flack from my coworkers about this point, and they would be telling me to go find my tank. Again, this took forever to get back to the Galactica, and I have edited a large portion of it out, but on the flight back, I was really looking forward to landing on the Galactica. I wanted the challenge of actually putting this Viper into the landing bay and seeing if I could do it without crashing. I kept waiting for instructions. No instructions came. I figured that something, they had to tell you something that was going to happen here pretty soon, and we were getting closer and closer to the Galactica, and I just kept waiting, and eventually Starbuck will pop up, and then you're certain that you're going to get some sort of instructions. Well, you don't. At that point, I decided, okay, I'm just going to keep flying. Crashing can be fun too, so I'm just going to crash right into the ship. Well, you don't. What you do is, I guess, you magically land, and you go into character creation. The male characters are fine. Not a problem. For me, the females, again, were very stereotypical. I didn't like it at all. Their saving grace was that they had a good colonial warrior uniform. Now, I hate the fact that she's standing there with her hand on her hip with all of her weight on one leg. A colonial warrior wouldn't do that, but at least she's dressed appropriately for battle and climbing in a viper. Once you get your character created, then you begin talking to other characters within the game, specifically Adama and Apollo. Adama can give you an overview of what is going on, why you're there, and eventually you will move on and talk to Apollo for mission briefings and to pick up your missions and begin actually playing the game. Initially, I wasn't going to give this game a second try, but I think I'm going to. I'll be back with more video later.